Hello folks, welcome back. This is part 2 of dropping the suspension video. Over the past couple weeks, between this video and the last video, I went on eBay and I purchased a torsion bar removing tool. The official one from Mopar, one, there's only one available, and two, it didn't look great compared to this one. The official Mopar tool, which is Miller Special Tools, it was a circular bar coming down. Didn't look like it could handle hammering, or well, hey, they made it, so it probably could, but I didn't really like the look of it. I like the look of this one better, so I purchased this one. I didn't rent because I'd rather have the tool on hand when I need it and not have to go to AutoZone or Napa or wherever I could rent it from, and also I didn't want to have to find where I could rent it, so I figured just purchase this one. I'm going to use it at least twice, so $30 each use, because this was, I think, $60 or $70. $30 per use, but if it works and if I have it on hand, then it's worth it to me. I've heard that you can use vice grips, but vice grips, they tend to put nicks and scratches into the spring, the outside surface of the spring, which on a piece of metal, regular piece of metal or a bracket, is not that bad. But if you're putting it on a spring, that introduces a stress riser, and as that spring rotates, back and forth, that mechanical stress put on that stress riser over time will lead to cracks, and then the crack will propagate, and as you're going down the road, the spring will snap at that stress riser. So it's better to have something like this, where it's a flat surface, it has a V-notch right here, bolts together. The official tool also only had 2 bolts. This one has 4. Double the clamping. So that works out way better. So we're going to throw this on the spring. We're going to throw this on both torsion bars. We're going to pop out the snap rings holding the torsion bars in today, and we're going to get those springs out, and then we'll disconnect the steering. We'll possibly take off the steering gearbox, just because we might have to have it for clearance, and then we're going to drop that suspension down. I'm hoping to have it done today. If not, well, today's Friday. I can do it Sunday because I've got other plans for tomorrow. Okay, we're back under the car here, and I've set it up so that you can kind of see the snap ring holding in the driver's side torsion bar. That's right in there. And I'm just going to take some regular pliers, needle nose. If needle nose don't work, I'll try slip joints. But let's see what we can get in there. Oh, that was easy. Okay, so there goes that snap ring. Be sure to save that. Put it in a bag somewhere. Label it. Left side torsion bar snap ring. Don't lose, idiot. Then we will attach the tool to the torsion bar. We'll hammer that sucker out of there, and we'll do the same to the other side. Okay, we're gonna take our tool. These are 7/16 head bolts, so we'll take these off. Come on, come on. There goes the lock washer. Alright, I'm going to put this right about here. It's got tranny fluid dripped on my face. Okay. And let's see here. Come on. Alright, it looks like it's in a good spot. Right about, maybe right there. Well, I don't know, this might be in the way. Well, we'll try it. Okay. Ooh, okay, no, I'm gonna have to move it up. Put it right if necessary, I might have to pound it out from the top. But we'll see what happens. Okay. Make sure it's nice and tight so that it doesn't slip on the spring. These are grade 8 bolts, so it should take a lot. Now this is the heaviest hammer I have at home. I have a heavier hammer at work, but we'll see if this works. Who knows, I might have to go to Harbor Freight and buy a heavier hammer or Sears or somewhere. Hard to get a good swing. Maybe might have to take the steering down, but I was hoping not to take the steering down. Let's see. Oh, there goes that. Yeah, this might be harder than I thought. Because this really is designed, or it's easier to do it when the car is up in the air and you're standing and you can actually get a good wallop on it. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Alright, let me show you what I all done did here. I flipped the tool upside down, or pointing the other way. And I got one of my screw jacks that I have. These you can find at swap meets. I went to the San Diego swap meet last February, and I found 5 of these for $1 each. That was a smoking deal. But if you can find one of these, like, they're worth about 20 bucks. I'd say I would pay up to $20 for one of these, because the amount of things that you can do with one of these is unparalleled. So I have it mounted here, upside down, or pointing straight up, and then the jack portion right here, button up against the bottommost, as close to the torsion bar as possible, with as much contact to the tool as possible. And on the one that I have at work, I ground down a bolt and put in there, and I can use my impact gun, and it makes it a lot faster, plus I can use a lot more power. This one I'm gonna have to use like a screwdriver or some sort of lever action, but this is essentially a porta-power. For those of you familiar with porta-power, I don't have a hydraulic one. I wish I did in this case, but it will have the very similar effect. So we're gonna just keep screwing this jack outwards, and hopefully the constant tension on the tool and then transferred to the torsion bar will pop it out. Of course, when that happens, this thing's gonna kind of explode out of here, so we got to keep our distance, but at least the torsion bar will be out of there. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're going to use channel locks. I just tried it before starting the shot, and it seems to be working okay. So what I do, just keep twisting it until it starts to move. And then if it makes any noise, let me know so that I can get out of here real quick. I'm anticipating it making like a cracking or a popping noise. And hopefully the tool won't move on the bar. I'm not too concerned about ruining this knob because eventually I'm going to grind down a bolt and put it in there, but this does seem to... alright, fine, screw it. Okay. Oh, baby, okay. Oh, no. Alright, that's... Don't have a lot of purchase on that, but see what happens. Come on. Oh, drat, foiled again. Okay. Well, so long as the angle of the dangle's right. Alright, so unfortunately, I'm still using my phone as a camera, and whenever I get a text message and recording video, it stops the video. So you didn't get to see my moment of elation, but it slowly did pop out. It popped the frig out. So this solution is perfect for the other side, and way better than just beating on that tool with a hammer. It does take longer. I think it took me a total of about 12 minutes of really tedious channel locking that jack out, but it eventually came out. So I'm gonna figure out how to disable my text message pop-up, and then I'll keep going. I will show you a better way of popping out the other side, because using the channel locks was just way too tedious, and I banged my knuckles a couple times. I think I can use a open-end wrench or a adjustable wrench and have way better performance. But I am extremely happy with how this popped out, and my ingenuity. You do have to have a little bit of an ego when you're coming up with new solutions. Alright. Alright, now we're going to do the passenger side. You can see how I've set this up. I've got the block here, the tool here, and I flipped it around. I flipped the jack around, so now we're pushing the business end of the jack against the control arm, and then the base has a lot more surface contact with the tool. So even though it's right here, it's a straight line instead of down how I had it previously, where it was just the kind of the edges of it, or two little points. So this has a lot more surface area. I think it's a lot safer. And I went and got a couple wrenches and a 9/16 fits it perfectly. So we're just going to use the 9/16 and slowly bring that sucker out with the manual porta power. Alright, here we go. Put the gloves on. And I've disabled my text message app from notifying me. Hopefully it will work and not cancel the video. So we'll try that out. Alright. you get to see a great view of the back side, or the front top side of my forearm. Woohoo! Oh shit. Uh-oh. Okay. It looks like we're still in place. Just keep on going, keep on going. Okay, I think we're good. Now, you always have to be careful when doing stuff like this. Did that just move? Let's see. Because it has the potential to explode out on you. There's a lot of potential energy here that just wants to become kinetic. I tightened these down really tight, so I thought I saw it move, but maybe that's the bar moving. I'll just have to keep an eye on it up here. You can't really see it from your vantage point because of the pitman arm and the tie rod and everything, but I'll keep an eye up in there. Ooh. I saw the entire thing move that time. Make sure that my legs are spread, because right now I have them straddling the tire. I don't want this whole thing to come down on me and like fucking tire me in the junk. So. Oh yeah, I can see it coming out. This one's coming out a lot better than the other one. Now, I mentioned previously that I ground down a bolt and put it in here so I could use it on my impact. Sometimes, in cases like this, you want to use just manual power, because then you get a feel for it. Then you can actually feel what's going on, and you get nice steady tension instead of rapid impacts. I was first turned on to these screw jacks by a heavy line tech at the dealership I used to work at. He used these all the time for positioning Chrysler 3.8 motors to one side, so that he could do motor mounts and other bits and pieces, like get suspension parts out, get starter motors, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that thing's coming out good. Oh, yeah, it's almost out now. I bet that if you get it to this point where it's easy to get out, you could just take the jack out and pound it out the rest of the way. It's almost there. Do it by hand. Woo-hoo. There we go. Nice and loose. Okay, so for right now, I just pushed the bars back underneath the car so that they're kind of balanced inside their holes. I'm just going to leave them there for now. I'll take them out later and clean them. You can see how much grease and grime is underneath this car. And even though this transmission was rebuilt about a year before the engine went out on it, or before I took the engine out of it, because the timing gears
just decided to turn into ninja stars instead of actual gears. It's still got a little leak, but mostly it's coming out of the speedometer cable port. So it just slowly kind of drips. So I'll have to fix that. I also bought a new transmission mount because, let me get in there. That rubber is just done. This mount is done. So I bought that. That was $16 on eBay. Surprisingly, somebody still was selling them, and they looked new. So I was kind of impressed by that. So we'll put a new trans mount in when we finally get the engine in and get everything done. Okay, now I've got you guys perched up precariously on the suspension and steering so that I can show you how to disconnect the steering rag joint. It's just 2 bolts right here and down here. So this little rag joint has a little bit of flex in it. This connects the steering column to the steering gear via this intermediate shaft, and we'll just disconnect this so that we can get so that the suspension is not connected to the actual rest of the car. You can still buy these. I don't know if you can still buy it for this car. I'm gonna have to figure out how to lock the steering. Let me see, what kind of tools do I have? Where's my channel lock pliers? Okie doke. Where'd that go? So, I'm gonna have to do the two-hand Watusi here. Let's see here. Hold it right there, I guess. And try to. Ah, there we go. Get the double action going. Oh, yeah. Do the other one now. Oh, how I wish I had a horse tail. Oh, well. There we go. Okay. So, maybe I need a shorter ratchet. See if I can just hold it. Can I go in through this way? That'll work. Got my forearm workout for the day. Can I get a hand now, please? Please, please. Okay, thank you. Dang, I'm right-handed. There's one. Spin her around. And get the other side.
And there's the other. And now, I was always told this for modern cars, so we're going to do it for for this old one. Always center the steering wheel and make sure the wheels are pointed straight ahead before disconnecting the steering. It's probably not important for this one, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, so steering is disconnected. The shaft is still held in with a set screw, but I can leave the intermediate shaft on the steering gear while I drop the suspension. There's just a couple little other things I need to disconnect. I need to disconnect the kickdown linkage, or the shift linkage right here, from just the bracket from the suspension. Or no, that's attached to the frame. Never mind. And then I think that's about it. All right, we'll drop this sucker. Now that I have disconnected the steering and taken out the torsion bars, my next step is to drop the entire suspension. I did off camera remove all the power steering fluid out of the reservoir, which is right there. There was a bunch of fluid in there. I didn't want that to leak when I dropped the whole thing down. So I emptied that out with the Mighty Vac. Now I'm going to show you my plan to drop this suspension. So, went to Harbor Freight, got 2 of these. I'm going to put them underneath both front wheels, and then I'm going to take the jack, come up in here, jack up the rest of the car, up off the jack stands, pull them out, and lower the whole car, the front of the car, onto the furniture dollies. At that point, I'll go in with the impact gun and remove the body mount bolts off the K-member, and take the steering gear loose, get that out of the way, and then I'll jack the front of the car back up and try to finagle the whole K-member out from underneath it. So hopefully that'll work, but we're going to give it a try. And of course, before I begin, I need to disconnect the brake lines, because these brake lines, the steel portion, go along the frame, and then the rubber portion is attached to the rest of the suspension. So I'm just going to disconnect them either here or down here, depending on where I can. If I have to, I'll disconnect them from the brake caliper. I'm hoping I don't have to. I'd rather just leave them this way. And then I think that'll be it. So brake lines, power steering gear, body bolts, and that should cover it. Okay, so I looked at these brake lines and determined that I can, in fact, remove them from right here. What you do is you unscrew the flare nut, and you can just use a regular open end wrench on these if you're careful. You're supposed to use a flare nut wrench. I don't have any here at home, but a regular open end works just fine if you're very careful. So I've gotten that loose. Do it by hand. Get the brake line out of the way. Now, you see here holding the rubber brake line, there is this clip, this C-clip or whatever you want to call it. This taps out. You can tap this thing out, and then it should, the brake line should, oops, get the tripod, it should drop right out. I gotta do this at a good angle. There we go. So now I don't have to disconnect the caliper from the brake line, even though I should replace these anyway. I just don't want to deal with it down at the caliper right now. And then I want to show you how it's held in. Because if
the brake line didn't have this little C-clip or circlip, then it would just drop right out. So this slides right under, and it's sandwiched between the two clips inside the bracket. So that means you have to save this clip. It won't just stay on here. It's very loose by itself. So put that in a plastic bag, mark it brake line clip, and then throw it in the car so that you don't lose it. Okay, I spoke too soon on the brake lines. This is the passenger side, and it does not want to budge. I'm soaking it with PB Blaster, but you can see a little bit that it's starting to round over the nut, and unfortunately the nut is part of this steel line, and I don't want to screw this up, because if I do, I'm going to be making a whole new steel line, or at least cutting out this portion and rebending, and I don't want to have to do that. That's a lot of work. So I'm going to let the PB Blaster sit, maybe just give it a few more taps. I might have to bring my flare nut wrenches from work and try it that way. Okay, I'm soaking it in PB Blaster, but I'm not going to screw with it from at this point. I'm just rounding it off too much, so I'll bring in my flare nut wrenches from work and deal with it later. Instead, I'll disconnect the banjo fitting from the caliper and be free of the brake lines that way. And we're back under the car. So I'm trying to take out the steering gear, the gearbox. I've removed the two bolts and the one nut holding it in. I was not expecting a nut. There's a stud up in there. I was expecting another bolt. So this is giving me a little bit of consternation here, because up there I did manage to get the intermediate shaft away from the rag joint, and now I have about 2 inches of play here. But even so, I can't pry the steering gear back far enough to get it off the stud because of the pitman arm. Pitman arm is still attached securely to the rest of the steering linkages. So what we're going to do is remove the cotter pin and the nut from the ball joint attaching the pitman arm to the center link, and we're going to pound out that connection, and then this will be completely disconnected from the rest of the steering and up top, and I can pry it out far enough to get it out and away from the suspension, which will give me enough clearance to clear the frame. Hopefully. We're gonna give it a try. This is very common on cars. You expect one thing and then it turns into 4 times as much work. So no big deal. I've got the day off. I've got nothing but time. Let's get to filming and wrenching. Alright, step 1, remove the cotter pin. Never reuse cotter pins. Always use a new one, because once you bend it, you could probably break it, which is what happens on this one. Let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. Get off, get off. Okay, so that's bent right there. Hey, there we go. All right, now, covered in grease and grime and disgusto, let's find out what size this thing is. Probably 3/4. Who knows? No, that's 11/16. Aha, 3/4. All right. So let's see if a shallow one will fit. Awesome. Okay. There we are. Okay. Get the hammer. There we go.
Hey, there we are. Loosey goosey. Alright, so now this pitman arm can be reused. But since it's so old, I'm eventually going to replace this whole thing with a new kit. Hopefully they make a kit for this kind of car, 78 Chrysler. I bet that there are steering companies out there, Moog or whoever, that makes a kit that will at least fit. So Chrysler liked to keep things simple, and they didn't change a lot of crap, but who knows. We'll have to do some research. I've been doing some research online on restoring these things, and I found a couple websites that say if you're planning to restore a Cordoba, the best thing to do is go find a Cordoba that was never ever driven. You will have better luck doing it that way, because nobody makes body panels, nobody makes windshields, nobody makes anything for this car other than the mechanical. And that's because the 78 Charger is the same car, and there were more of those than the Cordoba. Or I don't know. This whole car project might be a fool's errand, but I'm gonna give it a try anyway. Alright, so now that we have that pitman arm disconnected, we'll move our tools, get that pry bar, and see if we can get it off completely. That is one heavy sumbitch. Oh my goodness. How do they expect you to do this with the engine still in the car? Well, one, probably disconnect the steering pump and remove the steering shaft completely. Punch out the roll pin, not a set screw. Well, I do like to do things the hard way, don't I? Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna punch out that roll pin and disconnect the intermediate shaft and go from there. Okay, never mind. I just arranged things in a different way and got my tongue in the right position, and it came right out. So now it's just kind of loose and sitting on the. Ooh, don't want to screw that up. Okay, there we go. Hey, stay. I'm about to die. All right, let's. Come on, baby. All right, I'm not dead, and it's out, and my junk is still intact, and my nice clean jeans are not dirty. Everything's coming to Millhouse. All right, let's go. All right, so now let's try dropping that suspension after a break. All right, as you can see by my real sketch setup here, we're about to drop the suspension onto the dollies. What I'm gonna do is just raise it up a little bit, drop the jacks down a little bit, or the jack stands down, and bring it back down onto the jack stands real nice and slow, and we'll see how well the car behaves, because the rear axle is up on jack stands too. I don't know how this is going to behave. So, and even though the engine's out of it and the front is apart, that still doesn't mean that there's not a ton of weight just waiting to kill me. So instead of weighing 4,500 pounds, now this car probably weighs about 3,300. Engine and parts removed and all that. I weigh 160, 3300 versus 160. Yeah, that's not gonna fly. So here we go. Whatever kind of deity you pray to, pray for me. So we'll get this going. Here goes. That's a little scary. Got a touchdown. Let's see how we're doing. This one's just barely touching. So what I'm going to do, reposition it. Okay, drop it down a bit more. I can get it to where it's still on the jack stands, but the tires are just touching. That's perfect, because then when I undo the bolts, it'll drop securely onto the furniture dollies, but the body of the car will still be safe. So that's what I'm shooting for. Not quite. Oh, never mind. Just barely touching. So, what we can do, that one's not touching, but that one feels like it is. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take care of the bolts, and then I'll just jack it, or release the jack, and boom, drop onto the dollies. Okay, they're 15/16. I'm gonna swing under there, my impact gun, and see how this goes. Hopefully I can get in there. The front bolts are a little tight. I'm very happy about that. I thought they were going to be rusted in.
All right. Cool. All right, now the next step is to try to get it maneuvered out from under the car. Hopefully I have enough room, but it doesn't look like it. So we're gonna play around with the pry bar and see what happens. Let's get that jack out of there. Okay, pry bar, where'd you go? I raised that one. If I raise that corner, I might be able to swing this out. Oh, this is going to be trickier than I thought. Okay, let's see. Let's try this. Well, hey buddy. Come to give me an idea. Alright, so if I take this body mount out, I might be able to raise the suspension enough to clear the body, but I can't get that body mount out because it's got a like a column or a post that goes down inside the suspension. Probably the same with the one back here, but that one's not that bad. Like, I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. I was really hoping to be able to slide this sucker out. I'm gonna have to play around with this and experiment and come back for another shot. Okay, I think I have found a solution. So this is the passenger side, but you see down here, okay, from the top view, focus, this is the upper control arm. This is the control arm mount where you see these slots here. This is where you can actually do your alignment. Move the
forward and back, in and out, and that changes your camber and caster. And then down in here is some sort of, I think that like this might be steering knuckle or no, the knuckle's down here. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's I think it's just a bracket to mount the shock absorber. This is firmly attached to the back side, or to the K-member. So down in here, I took out this bolt and this upper bolt. I've gotten that lower bolt loose. I've gotten that lower bolt loose. And there's a lot of play in here. I mean, where's pry bar? Where'd you go? Son of a... Alright. I'm gonna grab this one. Where did that thing go? It's around. So, if I take a pry bar, or the Wunderbar, there's a lot of play. I can pretty much clear this. So I'm going to do the same to the other side, and then I might have to raise the body of the car out of the K-member and then roll the K-member out, and then I'll be able to really get in here, and I can take this K-member somewhere and pressure wash it, get all the grease off of it. It is gnarly, you've seen it before, and we can really get in here and clean and prep for paint. Alright, so I'm going to try to do that on the other side, and we'll continue onward. What I have going here is a proof of concept. I don't know if it's going to actually work. So I took all the bolts out of the control arm mounts, mounting it to the K-member, which at this this is a point of no return, pretty much. So now both tops of the suspension are loose, which means the tires are a little bit floppy. The whole K-member is a little bit floppy. So once I get the thing out, I'm gonna have to secure it somehow. Maybe re-bolt them up to the K-member, something. Now, since they're both floppy, I can pry them both loose. But in order to get them out, get the whole thing out from underneath the car body itself has to be jacked up. That's where this comes in. I don't really like the placement. I might be at full extension pretty soon anyway. I'm just gonna see if this works. If it works, hooray. If it doesn't, well, I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't kill me, and then we'll figure out something else. So let's see here. I'm going to Alright, that's full extension. I can't get any further up. Let's see. Let's look at the jack stands. Still have... yeah, I'm pretty... I mean, it's slightly off, but not really. Like, at most, 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. At most. On this side, I think it's a little bit more on that side. But let's see here. This might just be enough. Let's see. Stand clear. Stand clear. Might have to put the phone on the tripod. Yeah, I need to go further up. So the other way I was thinking was alternate the jack side to side. Jack this one up to like 2 notches on the stand, go over there, do that side 4 notches on the stand, come back over here, go up 4 notches, you know, just alternate 2 notches at a time until there's enough clearance to drop this sucker out. that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. So let's get that going. But before I do, I'm just gonna give it one final try. I haven't changed anything from the last scene. We're still at full extension. Everything is still exactly how I left it. I'm gonna try just prying out that side first and then that side, and maybe there will be enough give for it to drop, and then who knows. Well, I'll still have to lift up the front of the car a little bit to and reposition the jack. I can't exactly move this out and pass through the jack. I mean, there's no clip mode on real life, so we'll figure this out. Yeah, we need to raise the car. Okay, here we go. Start that side. Notches at a time.
like that. I like that. Okay. I didn't expect that, so we're gonna have to figure out how to maneuver the whole thing out. Let's see here. Break time. Okay, so here's my idea. Deadlift the middle of that onto the jack it up, bring the load further up, which brings the tires inward a bit, finagle it around, get bolts in both sides, and then secure them together, bring everything into some sort of squareness, and after that maybe attach some sort of stringer board to the fronts of both of the furniture dollies so that it can't move anymore. Probably should have done that beforehand, but hey, whatever. This is kind of fun. Join me in my journey of pain, suffering, and delightment. Not really a deadlift, but let's see if it works. Okay. Hey, that worked pretty good. Okay. That is holding on by like that much. Okay. Now, bring that. Okay. All right. So. Lost a finger. All right. We're getting there. The shock just needs to be compressed a bit more, which means this has to come up. We're fighting the ball joint on this. Let's see. Now let's go up higher and see what happens. That's just gonna fall right the fuck out. Okay. almost there. Let's see. I'm that far away from getting a full bolt hole. So close. Almost. Come on. Got it. Yeah, you're not gonna stay. Okay. All right, cool. That's all for that side. Let's see if I can get this side. Oh well.
maybe. Maybe not. Freaking close. Ayun na go. Alright. Break time. Okay, after a break and a couple swigs of beer, I came up with this. Let me show you. I don't want to take it off. You can't really see it. I'm using a wood clamp to clamp it in place. I got one bolt started and I can feel it's a little cross-threaded, but at least it's in. Now the rest of it will pivot around that bolt and I can get the rest of the bolts in way easier. So, one more beer. And now 3 more bolts. Okay. Have to clean that up before I use it on a wood project now. What happened to the other bolts? They're there. Come on. Come on. One or two threads. Come on. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right. None too soon. Okay. That one was a different size for some reason. Different size and style. Easy. Where are you going? Come on. Again, feels like it. Sort of. And you feel cross-threaded. That's better.
gonna tighten up the rest of these, and then they might call it a day. Good job.
All right, I took a break. I got everything together, and I've got everything set up now. I found a board behind the garage to string the two dollies together, and then I had one extra dolly for another project that I'm gonna use on this one. Oh, it's barely hanging on there. I'll have to readjust that. But now I can at least roll it around and roll it back under the car for when I'm not doing anything inside the engine bay. And this day's project is finally done, and I'm gonna go inside because the little Aedes mosquitoes are beginning to swarm and eat me, and I'm very, very dirty and sweaty. So thank you for joining me on the suspension dropping journey, and the next journey will be cleaning and prepping and painting the inside of that engine bay. Have a great afternoon, morning, evening, whatever it is where you are. Thanks.